All right, first up, mummies with clogged arteries. And a quick shout out goes to Drew and everyone else who sent the story in. But wait a minute, mummies with clogged arteries? Aren't clogged arteries supposed to be a disease of wealth? A disease of modern civilization with our abundant meat? The saturated fats that we supposedly eat too much of? It's not supposed to happen in the BC, especially not in BFE. So what are these mummies doing with clogged arteries? Listen with me to this fascinating story from NPR.
We did CT scanning at a scanner that had been donated actually by National Geographic, your teacher, to the Cairo Museum, their national museum, and imaged 52 mummies who are in their museum. And to our surprise, we found they did have vascular disease, atherosclerosis in many of their large arteries. And the small arteries of the body that cause events, for example, the arteries in the heart and the arteries to the brain, also had atherosclerosis.
Now that's a sort of a calcification.
Right. When we develop atherosclerosis or plaque or hardening the arteries, it starts with cholesterol and other cells, and then as it ages, it calcifies. So it kind of ossifies like a bone. So our hypothesis was that the calcium might still be there 3,000 years later to see if they indeed had these blockages.
So you had a lot of mummies to pick from, presumably. How'd you choose them?
We looked for older mummies.
Mm-hmm.
We found, for example, a general. We thought, well, it took some time to be a general. He must be old. And so they were able actually to unscrew the glass case and look down in the sarcophagus and see someone been there for 3,000 years, and then take them out of the sarcophagus and bring them over to scan. And it was just, pinching myself to see how fortunate I was to look inside with the CT scanner and see what was going on.
One of the mummies that you scanned was a princess who had severe atherosclerosis. Now, presumably this woman was a locavore, ate fresh things. There was no refrigeration. She would not have been sedentary because she would have had no elevators. Why would she get this kind of thing?
Well, our hypothesis was they wouldn't have them because they were active. Their diet was much different. They didn't have tobacco. But to our surprise, they had atherosclerosis in the large arteries as well as the small arteries that can cause problems. For example, in this woman who died 1550 BC, approximately in her 40s, that she would have atherosclerosis, I think we're missing a risk factor. Right now, we know that high blood pressure, smoking, cholesterol, inactivity, and other things cause atherosclerosis, but I think that we're less complete than we think. But we found the atherosclerosis over 2,000 years of time, and so there would be many different families who were the pharaohs or the ruling parties at the time. So we think it's common to the environment there among the people who were the elite. So they did have access to meat. They actually had domesticated cattle, goats, antelope, gazelles, pigs.
All right, so they think that maybe they're missing a risk factor, right? And listen to this next bit. The answer is right under their noses, and watch them just ignore it.
However, we think that predominantly their diet was grains, fruits, and vegetables, and not near as much meat. We do hope in future expeditions to find mummies of the more common class, but we're suspicious that even in the more middle-class persons that they may well have had it, but that's research to be done.
That's Dr. Gregory Thomas, a member of the...
So they pretty much just gloss over the fact that these people were eating a grain-heavy diet. Are you kidding me? If it was believed that these people were eating predominantly meat, don't you think they would have declared right then and there, see, there you go, the meat and the saturated fats in their diet did them in. It led to these clogged arteries. Of course they would have, but their staples are grains. Okay, so it must not be diet-related then. It's some other aspect of their environment. I just wish these people would wake up and investigate the obvious paths which are being laid out for them. Get out of the streetlight. Start digging for some real answers.